Exodus 23:10 through 24:18. Devotional focus verse. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor with their gods. They shall not dwell in thy land, lest they make thee sin against me. For if thou serve their gods, it will surely be a snare unto thee. Exodus 23:32 and 33. When my children were toddlers, one of their favorite rainy day activities was to draw designs in a tray of shaving cream. I would squirt a pile of white foam onto a baking sheet and sprinkle a couple of drops of red food coloring on the cream. They would happily dig into the mixture, spreading it this way and that, drawing pictures on the tray. At first, the red drops showed up in startling contrast to the soft white mounds of cream. However, with just a few swipes of little fingers, a transformation took place. The bright red dots were replaced with long pink streaks. Within moments, the mixture had completely blended together, and all of the cream was pink instead of white. What a visual picture of the importance of today's focus verse. God warned the Israelites about their neighbors whose beliefs and practices were in direct contrast to the way God wanted His people to live. He knew that the people He desired to be pure and holy could be harmfully influenced by the idolatrous cultures around them, so He warned them not to make covenants with those nations or with their gods. God knew the Israelites could not associate with these influences and remain undefiled, so He continually emphasized the importance of guarding against the heathen religions. While our neighbors and associates may at first glance have little in common with the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, or Canaanites, their values may be completely different from God's. As Christians, we are called to maintain a lifestyle that reflects our faith and commitment to God. This necessitates separation from anything that would tarnish our testimony or weaken our commitment, integrity, or standards. Separation from the world involves more than keeping our distance from sinful things. It means staying close to God. There is no way to remove ourselves totally from all evil. We have to live here in a world polluted by sin. Nevertheless, we are to resist the ungodliness around us. As we focus on God and concentrate on staying close to Him, living a life that is pure, holy, and pleasing to Him is indeed possible. Background information. God had been revealing to the children of Israel what would later be known as the Law of Moses. There were universal moral laws, such as the Ten Commandments. Then there were warnings, such as thou shalt not seethe a kid or goat in his mother's milk, which were prohibitions against the common pagan practices of that era. See Exodus 23:19. 3 feasts were established at this time, each of which became an important part of Jewish religion and culture. The Feast of Unleavened Bread, also called the Feast of the Passover, the Feast of Harvest, also called the Feast of Pentecost, and the Feast of Ingathering, also called the Feast of Tabernacles. The children of Israel promised to obey the instructions of God, but in addition to their promises, it was necessary to seal the covenant with blood. In the Old Testament, God accepted the death of an animal as a substitute for the death of a sinner in most cases. Execution was the penalty for some sins, such as witchcraft, as addressed in the previous text. This sacrificial system, which brought forgiveness through the death of an animal, was only a temporary provision, pointing ahead to the death of Jesus Christ, the Lamb of God, which would cover any sin. In the ratification ceremony described in this portion of text, Moses read the book of the covenant to the people, and they affirmed their willingness to obey. He sprinkled half the blood from the sacrificed animals on the altar to show that the sinner could once again approach God because something had died in his place. The other half of the blood he sprinkled on the people to show that sin's penalty had been paid and they could be reunited with God. A sacrificial feast was also a part of the covenant process. On this occasion, the feast was attended by Moses, Aaron, Aaron's 2 older sons, Nadab and Abihu, and 70 leaders. The phrase, "they saw God," means that God manifested himself to them in a special way. While it is unknown what they actually saw or how God was revealed, God's presence was tangible to them. Exodus 33:20 and Deuteronomy 4:12 indicate that they did not see God in a visible form. Then Moses was instructed to go up on Mount Sinai. Joshua also went up, although the Bible names Moses only as entering the cloud itself. Aaron and Hur were left in charge of the children of Israel for the 40 days that Moses was gone. Conclusion. Society may pressure us to conform to its way of life and thought, but yielding to that pressure will have eternal consequences. Follow God and don't let the culture around you mold your thoughts or actions.
And 6 years thou shalt sow thy land, and shalt gather in the fruits thereof. But the 7th year thou shalt let it rest and lie still, that the poor of thy people may eat, and what they leave the beasts of the field shall eat. In like manner thou shalt deal with thy vineyard, and with thy olive yard. 6 days thou shalt do thy work, and on the 7th day thou shalt rest, that thine ox and thine ass may rest, and the son of thy handmaid, and the stranger, may be refreshed. And in all things that I have said unto you be circumspect, and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth. 3 times thou shalt keep a feast unto me in the year. Thou shalt keep the feast of unleavened bread, thou shalt eat unleavened bread 7 days, as I commanded thee, in the time appointed of the month Abib, for in it thou camest out from Egypt, and none shall appear before me empty. And the feast of harvest, the firstfruits of thy labors, which thou hast sown in the field, and the feast of ingathering, which is in the end of the year, when thou hast gathered in thy labors out of the field. 3 times in the year all thy males shall appear before the Lord God. Thou shalt not offer the blood of my sacrifice with leavened bread, neither shall the fat of my sacrifice remain until the morning. The first of the firstfruits of thy land thou shalt bring into the house of the Lord thy God. Thou shalt not see the kid in his mother's milk. Behold, I send an angel before thee, to keep thee in the way, and to bring thee into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice, provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. But if thou shalt indeed obey his voice, and do all that I speak, then I will be an enemy unto thine enemies, and an adversary unto thine adversaries. For mine angel shall go before thee, and bring thee in unto the Amorites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Canaanites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, and I will cut them off. Thou shalt not bow down to their gods, nor serve them, nor do after their works, but thou shalt utterly overthrow them, and quite break down their images. And ye shall serve the Lord your God, and he shall bless thy bread, and thy water, and I will take sickness away from the midst of thee. There shall nothing cast their young, nor be barren, in thy land, the number of thy days I will fulfill. I will send my fear before thee, and will destroy all the people to whom thou shalt come, and I will make all thine enemies turn their backs unto thee. And I will send hornets before thee, which shall drive out the Hivite, the Canaanite, and the Hittite, from before thee. I will not drive them out from before thee in 1 year, lest the land become desolate, and the beast of the field multiply against thee. By little and little I will drive them out from before thee, until thou be increased, and inherit the land. And I will set thy bounds from the Red Sea even unto the sea of the Philistines, and from the desert unto the river, for I will deliver the inhabitants of the land into your hand, and thou shalt drive them out before thee. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor with their gods. They shall not dwell in thy land, lest they make thee sin against me, for if thou serve their gods, it will surely be a snare unto thee. Exodus chapter 24. And he said unto Moses, Come up unto the Lord, thou, and Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship ye afar off. And Moses alone shall come near the Lord, but they shall not come nigh, neither shall the people go up with him. And Moses came and told the people all the words of the Lord, and all the judgments, And all the people answered with one voice, and said, All the words which the Lord hath said will we do. And Moses wrote all the words of the Lord, and rose up early in the morning, and builded an altar under the hill, and 12 pillars, according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men of the children of Israel, which offered burnt offerings, and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen unto the Lord. And Moses took half of the blood, and put it in basins, and half of the blood he sprinkled on the altar. And he took the book of the covenant, and read in the audience of the people, and they said, All that the Lord hath said will we do, and be obedient. And Moses took the blood, and sprinkled it on the people, and said, Behold the blood of the covenant, which the Lord hath made with you concerning all these words. Then went up Moses, and Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel. And they saw the God of Israel, and there was under his feet as it were a paved work of a sapphire stone, and as it were the body of heaven in his clearness. And upon the nobles of the children of Israel he laid not his hand, also they saw God, and did eat and drink. And the Lord said unto Moses, Come up to me into the mount, and be there, and I will give thee tables of stone, and a law, and commandments which I have written, that thou mayest teach them. And Moses rose up, and his minister Joshua, and Moses went up into the mount of God. And he said unto the elders, Tarry ye here for us, until we come again unto you, and, behold, Aaron and Hur are with you, if any man have any matters to do, let him come unto them. And Moses went up into the mount, and a cloud covered the mount. And the glory of the Lord abode upon Mount Sinai, and the cloud covered it 6 days, and the 7th day he called unto Moses out of the midst of the cloud. And the sight of the glory of the Lord was like devouring fire on the top of the mount in the eyes of the children of Israel. And Moses went into the midst of the cloud, and gat him up into the mount, and Moses was in the mount 40 days and 40 nights.